Welcome to Board Game Casual. In this video, we're taking a look at the awesome Enchanted Forest expansion for the board game Rune Stones. I'll give you a quick overview, why I like it, and I'll wrap it up by giving it a BGG score. Here we go! Rune Stones is one of my favorite deck builders of all time. It's a fantastic game that I think flew under most people's radars. In fact, if you've never heard of Rune Stones, I've got a 2-minute video on the channel of why I think you might be sleeping on this game. The one thing I always wish that game had, however, was just a little more variety in the runestone ability tiles, so that you'd have a little more variety from game to game. Enter the Enchanted Forest expansion. This expansion offers some new components and a little sideboard, but what really made me pull the trigger was seeing that it came with more runestone tiles. My one fear was that the sideboard might make things feel more clunky, and that the new runestone tiles would only be relevant to playing the game with the expansion. Thankfully, that's not the case at all. In fact, here's what's awesome about this expansion. It's actually comprised of 2 separate modules. The first module is the new sideboard that goes hand in hand with these new toadstool tiles, which are basically one-time use bonus abilities that you can gain as you make your way up the track. The second module are these 8 new Rune Stones, which offer some fun new powers. What I like about the expansion separating these things into 2 modules is that the rulebook makes it very clear. You can add in both modules to the base game, or either module on its own. So if you just wanted to mix in some new runestone ability tokens into the base game, that would work fine. That said, both modules are great. Module 1 is pretty straightforward and adds some interesting new choices and ways to score points. When playing cards for their actions, you can instead choose to move up the track on the sideboard, gaining points and toadstool abilities along the way. It's also very unintrusive, which I like. Having it in the game, it's still very much up to the player whether they want to use it or just ignore it altogether. You never feel like you're behind or missing out if you're not dedicating part of your strategy to using that new sideboard. As someone who likes focusing their strategy on the deck building, it's hard to sacrifice my card powers for moving up the track instead. And what's nice is that you can still get a taste for the sideboard simply by using the Smith, who has the sideboard bonus. So overall, it feels like a free something extra you might get even if you're focused on playing the game normally. Module 2 is fantastic. I would have easily bought this expansion just for this. The 8 new runestone tiles add some nice variation with powers like getting to choose any value off the die instead of rolling it, getting to take the action from one of your cards twice, or paying 1 less gem on exchange actions, just to name a few. And the rulebook gives you multiple ways to mix these into the game for setup. Everything from manually choosing 8 runestones you want to play with, to putting 2 of each type of runestone into the included draw bag, and then pulling them out randomly, refreshing from the bag whenever one is taken. The production of the Enchanted Forest expansion is fine. It's on par with the base game. The game board and the tiles are the same chunky cardboard, and they follow the same artwork, so everything fits in seamlessly. I also appreciated that they went the extra step to mark which runestone tiles came with the expansion, in case you ever wanted to separate them out. The one small negative is that the rulebook definitely has some typos in the English instructions. Thankfully, there was never anything that left the rules ambiguous or steered us in the wrong direction, but it's clear these instructions were poorly translated and without running it through a proofreader before production. Final thoughts on the Enchanted Forest expansion for Runestones. Now, I'm not going to call the Enchanted Forest expansion a must-have, because to me that term says more about the base game, implying that it's lacking in some way, and I think the base game is great. I will say though, if you like Runestones, definitely go get yourself the Enchanted Forest expansion because it just gives you so much more variety in the game. I highly, highly recommend it. Going forward, I know I'll definitely play with the Enchanted Forest expansion from here on out, at a minimum with the new Rune Stones mixed in. In terms of scoring, I'm giving the Enchanted Forest expansion a 9.5. This is exactly what I wanted in an expansion. It keeps things simple, gives you the flexibility to use what you want from it, doesn't completely force you to change your playstyle, but welcomes in a lot more variation and player choices. The one thing keeping it from a perfect score were the typos in the English instructions. Just something that should have been tightened up before print. If you've played the Enchanted Forest expansion to Rune Stones, I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, thank you for liking and subscribing, and I'll see you next time, here on Board Game Casual.